All right. You can't see my face, but hopefully this will work. So this is lesson number 3 with Boomer on his nails. As you can see, everyone wants in on the action here. They'll sort themselves out after I start talking here. So Boomer, up until this point, just kind of as a recap, his owner said that he really struggles with his nails being done. His nails are super long, so I definitely believe him that he doesn't like it done. So this is going to be his 3rd lesson. I've done nothing with him except what you've seen on video. Will you guys not? I have another dog over here on place too, so they're just like, what is happening? So I have done nothing with him except what you have seen on video. This is lesson number 3. The first lesson was just paw touching. The second lesson, I was able to clip a couple. Nothing real fancy. Pip, what are you doing? He's like, I think he dropped something under there. And then this lesson will be more clipping. So up until this point, I have done everything on his front left. Just in my experience, there's really no right or wrong way to do it, but just in my experience, typically what I have found to work the fastest is to make progress on one foot until you get to the point where they're fairly comfortable with clips, and then start to move on to other feet and start over. So what I've found is once they understand the concept, once they understand the process of like, this is what we do, this is how you get food, they will accept it on their other feet much, much, much faster. If you start introducing a new concept, a new process, and switch feet a bunch of times, it's harder for them to learn the process. That's just been my experience. Your mileage may vary. You may do this differently. There's an antler in there, and he's like, this is mine now. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, Pip, after I yell at my dog, he's like, yeah, this is mine, is I'm going to start clipping. So I'm going to focus on his front left, and once he gets pretty comfortable with that, then I'll move on to other feet, and I'll show you how to do that. That might be this lesson, it might not be. It kind of depends on how he does. So like I've said before, he's on place. He's had a lot of good reinforcement history on place where good things happen on place, food gets delivered on place. He's just had a lot of good experience with it. So this is why I like to use it. Plus it helps keep him in one location. Skylar, go lay down. Thank you. So he's got food here in a treat pouch. And I'm just going to start. Skylar, go lay down. I never start the session with something that's difficult. I never start the session where I left off with the last one. We always go back. Yes. Good job. But I will move through the steps more quickly. When I start a new session. So like these steps he's been comfortable with before. Will you quit, please, Shadow? Shadow's the dog on place, just out of frame. He's like, I want treats. I'll let you touch my feet. Yes. Shadow. Good job. So he's doing well, so I'm going to introduce the clippers a little bit. Yes. So I was just tapping on that one. Can you guys like not do that, please? Shadow. Hey, knock it off, please. Thank you. Good job. Good job. So you notice on that one I clipped, and as soon as I clipped, he was very appetitive about it. He immediately wanted the food. Like he's built the association. He understands that this is how he gets food. So when I clip him, he's like, oh, yay, okay, where's the food? Good job, buddy. Can I have your foot, please? Thank you. Yes, good job. And the amount of food that he gets kind of goes along with how difficult the task is. So like if I'm just touching him, can you not, please, sir? If I'm just touching him like in the beginning of the session, thank you, because I know that he's comfortable with the touching. If I'm just touching him, he only gets a couple pieces, but then if I clip him, he gets like a handful. So there's a variable reward schedule here where the more difficult stuff gets him more reward. Yes, good job. So when I'm clipping, I'm taking off slivers. I'm not like going for the whole thing. I'm not taking off a bunch of material when I'm doing this. All right. Good job. And I'm never going too fast for him. Slow is fast. If he's uncomfortable, then I'm going too fast. Good job. So some people will want to do, they'll call it a conditioned emotional response, where they see the clippers and the dog gets really excited. They want the dog really excited and happy about every step of the process. And I totally understand where they're coming from. And about a lot of things, I want them to have a really positive emotional response. But I don't need them to be, me personally, this is my opinion, I don't need my dogs to be happy, thrilled, super excited about every step. I just need them to be neutral about every step. So I don't need them to think that this whole process is amazing. I just need them to think that this whole process is neutral or tolerable or just fine. That's just my opinion. If you want a really positive conditioned emotional response, you will take the same steps, but you'll go much slower and pair it with really high value food, so that you get that conditioned emotional response of clippers mean wee, excited, food, really just happy dog. And he's, and like I said in the previous video, we just came in from outside. I tend to do these after they get some exercise. So if he's panting, I'm not really going to take that at face value that he's stressed. Typically that is a stress signal, panting is, and licking their lips and things. And he might be a little stressed, but I don't think that is the whole thing. I don't think that his panting is entirely a stress response because we did just come in from playing outside. So just a disclaimer. Good job. So every one of these repetitions has been on the same nail. It doesn't have to be, but it all has been on the same foot. You're gonna go to a different nail now. Good job. That was a bigger chunk. Typically, I don't recommend you to take off big chunks because it's really easy to quick the dog. But in his case, his nails are super, super long, and I can very clearly see where his quicks are. So I can take off more material. Plus, I have really sharp clippers, so it's not stressful or anything. I know. It's really hard to... Really, Shadow? It's really hard to get a good angle where you're comfortable and the dog's comfortable. But it is important to make sure the dog's comfortable and you are comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to get a good clip, a real solid clip, because you have to be pretty confident. Like once you start clipping, you have to go for it. You can't just like half-ass it. Otherwise, you're going to pinch. Go for a different nail this time. Good job. And usually I wouldn't, if this was, so let me comment on how many dogs are around. If he was stressed out by other dogs, I would not be doing this with other dogs around. I would be doing this just by himself, alone, no problem. He's not stressed out at all by the other dogs, so I'm just letting them kind of exist. Good job. Shadow. He's like, I'm bored. Can I play? Good job. Good job. So I eventually will introduce him to a Dremel and use the Dremel with him, but I always start with the clippers before I introduce any power tools. Good job. This one's hard to get because I'm right-handed. Can you stop, please? Good job. And I'm just using his kibble. He finds his kibble rewarding enough for this. And just as a general rule, I like to use their kibble as rewards for training. That's just my personal opinion. You can certainly use treats. Kibble is helpful because if they're not able to take kibble in this stressful kind of environment, it's too stressful. So I use that as a good barometer where if he's not taking his kibble, I'm pushing him too far too fast. Good job. I was just gonna say, make sure you have a good grip on your tool and on your paw, because if he moves at all and you slip or something like that, like it could be bad. And then I just dropped the Shadow. Do you want me to beat you? I don't beat my dogs, just to be clear. I just like to threaten. All right, I'm gonna do his dew claw, and then I'm gonna move on to another. Oops, the quick guard slipped down. I'm gonna do his dew claw, and then I'm gonna move on to another foot, and I'll start the process over. Yes, good job. So now that I've done some of his nails, I've done every nail on this front left, not like, they're not done, but I've clipped a couple. I'm gonna start over, I'm gonna start the process over on this front right foot. So I'm gonna put the clippers away. I'm gonna set them down anyway. And I'm just gonna do touch, see? He's like, that's weird, you don't normally touch that foot. Yes. Now I'm gonna move the hair. Now I'm going much faster through the steps on this foot because he understands the process now. Yes, but I am doing all the steps. And this is what I mean when I say that it'll go faster if you do more of the process on one foot and then switch to another. Because if I were in the beginning going like touch food, touch food, touch food, touch food, touch food, touch food, like moving around, it tends to take longer because then they're learning the process as well as learning the skill of allowing you to handle their feet. I like to teach the process as separately from the actual skill as possible. I hope that makes sense. So I'm teaching him the process of like, I'm going to do things to your feet in exchange for food. And then once he understands that process, then I can move that process to other feet and it goes much faster. Yes. On this next one, I'm going to tap. Yes. See how fast this is going on the other foot because I spent my time on the one foot. And I'm going to actually clip on this one. I don't normally go this fast, but I'm going to on this one. You're okay. Come here. Good job. And I'm going to end it there. So I end on a good note. I end with him tolerating something new, and he's excited about it. And that's how I'm going to end it.